Welcome back as we prepare for our Monday-Thursday dinner, the Seder meal. And I've skipped ahead on a few items that you know how to prepare. So things like the celery, and we'll be putting some parsley in here as well. That's for the salad portion of the bitter herb portion of the meal. Also, I'm pretty sure everybody knows how to peel and cut carrots. And there's also some sweet potato in there, but the next dish that we're working on is a parve. No, sorry, not a parve, but a kugal. And this is a root vegetable casserole, essentially. You could throw potatoes in here, parsnips. I like carrots and sweet potato. It's up to you on that, what other root vegetables you want to put in it, but this is a root vegetable casserole. So you chop them up, sort of rough, rustic chop, give it a boil. I did try to just do it all in the roasting pan, and I think you probably could, or spread it out on a cookie sheet and roast these vegetables, but you're going to get a kind of a crunch, and you want these to soften up. So I did roast them for a little while. It wasn't really doing what I wanted it to do, even though I had some water with it. It wasn't cooking the way I wanted to, so I've gone back to boiling it, and that's where we're at right now. Along with that, I've got some butter, about a half a cup of butter down there, and then a half a cup of brown sugar. These are things that are straightforward. To this, I am going to add ginger, and you can measure it out if you want. Think teaspoon, or if you like ginger, think 2 teaspoons. I go about 1.5. All right. Along with that, a very important ingredient in this, and it's going to make everything taste very cookie-ish, is cinnamon. Now, if you want to go with fresh ground cinnamon, that is great. Or fresh rasped cinnamon, that's great. I'm in a rush. Usually by the point I'm making the kugel, I'm in a rush, and that works fine. To that, I'm going to add just a pinch of kosher salt. All right, now we get into the optional part of the meal. Now, my family has no gluten issues, so I am using regular sort of premium plus crackers with salt. Doesn't matter with salt or without. But if you have gluten issues, substitute gluten-free crackers in here. They do just fine. But this is the way the recipe came together, and so I apologize to anyone who has gluten issues that was counting on this all being a gluten-free meal. This is the one spot where gluten comes in for us. If you want to switch this out even with rice crackers, it still turns out very nice. They're a little bit spongy, but it's not a bad flavor, and it's not even a terrible texture. So if you're used to rice crackers, that's great. I'm using these premium plus ones. And that's about half a pack. Loosely crushed, simple. Also to this, I'm adding, and I haven't even creamed the butter yet. You don't have to do that right away. I'm adding just a heat tablespoon of cornstarch, sorry, and then that's when we mash this all together, and it's brutal. It's brutal. I like to wait on creaming the butter to the crackers because I don't want to actually. I want to only cream part of the butter. I just want it softened and in bits so that it's not landing all in one spot. Sort of like when you make a biscuit. I want to mix this in sort of like almost like a cracker granola into the mixture once it goes into the casserole dish. You want a fairly high-sided casserole dish. One of the things I always suggest is when you're making a casserole with, especially things like vegetables, is you put them on the casserole dish before you side cook them like I'm doing here with the boiling. So I'm just having a look in here. That's about half done. So that's good. That's what you want. Is you don't want to have the vegetables absolutely squishy, boiled to nothing. You want them to still have their form, but you want to bring out the brightness and the flavor. You want to bring the starch to the surface. And that starch is going to blend with this, and it's going to make sort of a starchy sauce in the midst. It's going to mix with the cornstarch that we just added. And there's one more ingredient. Now, when I'm recording this, today was April Fool's Day, and my son decided to get my eggs all surprised. So this egg's in for a big surprise. It's a, oh! Tough little egg. And there we go. So that's done. Boom, into the compost. And we smish that in. And again, this is just gonna, this is gonna blend everything together once we mix this into the casserole. So this is your blending medium for the vegetables, and they're just boiling like crazy, aren't they? It's something. Last thing I want to mention is additional items. Raisins are a great addition to this. Of course, we added ginger and cinnamon. What do you expect? Raisins are going to go well. But with raisins, if you're not into raisins, you could try craisins. If you're not into these sort of dried fruits, you want to do something that's sort of period appropriate. Find some figs, chop up some figs, put into this. Or dates. Dates is, again, another dried fruit. They go well in this. But raisins are what the recipe said, and raisins what we've been accustomed to for years. One thing about a kugal, parve goes over well, the lamb goes over well, the kugal is the thing that we never have leftovers of. The kids keep on coming back for this. The grown-ups keep on coming back for this. And when we do out the takeout trays afterwards, because we don't let any of this go to waste, when we do out those takeout trays afterwards, it's the kugal that's gone. So be prepared for that. Whatever you're going to make a smidge more. And once you have your first taste of it, make sure you set a little bit aside for yourself for your seconds, because it really is a very popular dish. Just about finished. And again, you want to make sure that that has a good cook on it. Really seeing some bright colors come out in the carrots here. Bring this back over. There we go. And again, you don't want to cook it too hard or too long. But we do want to get this done, don't we? All right. So we take this very carefully, watching for the steam because you don't want to burn. It's a real shame to pour off all of this liquid just into the sink. And if I've been thinking, I might have set this aside. One of the things that I can sometimes do is pour that in to make part of the broth for the Scotch broth that I often make with the leftover meat. If you haven't done it, it is a bit of a loss. Whenever you're cooking vegetables, don't just throw away the water. Pour that aside, set that aside, and make it into your next soup. Add it to your vegetable, your chicken soup, or set it aside in a jar. If you are the kind of person that grabs a can of soup and adds water to make it less condensed, vegetable water, you're keeping a lot of nutrients. It's a really healthy way to go. So there's this. I'm going to spread this out, and we want to spread it out first of all a little bit because just in the way that this cooks, carrots are lighter than sweet potato. The sweet potato sinks to the bottom and the carrots to the top. So I'm just going to use the same spoon because we're going to eventually put all of these things together anyway. But just mix up your vegetables so you're not getting half of your casserole is sweet potato and half of it is carrot. All right, so know the densities of your vegetables. So that's one. You just want to spread that out. The other thing is just give it a chance to air. I'm going to do this really quickly, but if you don't mix this fast enough, the egg will cook unevenly through this. You'll have little bits of egg, and that's not so good. We want that egg to be a sauce. So again, make sure it's well mixed. Put that through, and this is where you don't stop. This is where you keep going. You keep going, and you stir this in. And you know, you got those big chunks, and you think, it's all going to mix fine. But if you don't mix that all the way through, then you're going to have a cookie sort of gummy cake in one spot, and those vegetables that are falling out. That's why we did this with the cookie sheet underneath it. Make sure that that's nice and mixed and fairly even, and this is going to bake together beautifully. All right, next we add raisins through, and that's about 1/4 cup for this size of casserole. I used 4 carrots and 2 sweet potatoes. So you see everything's just flying everywhere. That's why we put it on the cookie sheet. And we're going to add a few raisins on top and then some more crackers here in a minute. So if it's not perfectly even and all the raisins went to the bottom or to one side, don't worry about it. You're going to even that out. Ouch, ooh, hot. Yes, still hot. Almighty hot. Here we go. Okay. We don't want the vegetables out here because they will scald and burn and it makes a terrible smell. And right now we've got the lamb cooking and the parve on the stove, so the smells here are just incredible. Okay, we're going to go back to this. And again, I've got some of the crackers. And I don't need too many, maybe just 4 crackers will probably do. All right, and just garnish it up. Oh, yeah. Here we go, garnish it up. Now, this can start to cook at the same temperature as where you have your lamb. Right now, my lamb is roasting nicely at 275. Has been for 3 hours now. So that's done. Okay, hot. All right, in here. And this goes onto the bottom rack. So you've got your lamb up top and your kugal down below. And you're all set. And I hope you have a pleasant meal.